It's 1 o'clock, call meeting to order. Notice the meeting was properly posted on Tuesday, March 21st, 2017. Let's go ahead and jump down to item number 5, discussion of possible action review fiscal year 17-18 estimates of Albany County Facility Management. Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
You have the floor.
Our facility budget 2801 has just a few changes. Differences being the cell phone stipend increase in the M&O portion. You'll see that we are asking for a utility person, an admin person, and a mechanical supervisor. Currently we have 17 people on payroll. We manage 606,000 square feet. That's about 30,000 square feet per person, 3 shifts around the clock. In the capital outlay portion, we've included seasonal planting and window washing at $35,000. Hopefully we can hopefully we can see that a couple times.
Not that I know of.
Hopefully we get
Well, that's the idea, but you know, the last time we did this years ago.
Equalization stuff.
I don't know.
Spot.
They just made it.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I think if we clean the windows 2 or 3 times a year, that'd be good. 2 times. But we needed to wait until all this Project 180 stuff was just about over with. Keep in mind, they're going to begin laying track out here along Hudson, so they'll be grinding the street up for all that. But I'm hoping that won't.
Did you not have any for windows in your budget this year?
No.
Did you used to do that before 180?
Huh?
Did you used to before Project 180?
You know, years and years ago, we did that one time, and we added the roof. When we did the courthouse infrastructure upgrade, we added the roof tie-downs and tiebacks so that we could do scaffolding off of that building. But it's been years and years since we've done that. Before we replaced, I think it was 3 years ago, we replaced the windows completely, so they were new at that time in this building, right?
I'm noticing your formula that you carry over on the carpet and building and ground, so
Okay.
we can change that one.
Now, was there anything for carpet? That line seems blank altogether.
Typically, we'll wait until the end of the year. If we have any funds that are likely to lapse, we'll spread that around throughout the building. That's what we typically do with carpet. At the end of the year, it works because July and August are kind of slow, and that's the right time to do that. So we kind of know where we are and what we can accomplish.
Can I have some carpet? You've never been asked that before, have you?
Not from you.
There you go. No, we're asking.
I wouldn't even know where to start.
Well, you know, we try and spray it around a little bit. We find the areas, we work with health and safety to determine the areas of worst need. Dan's smiling because he wants new carpet, and your carpet's fine. There are other areas that
I think we're getting a little outside the scope.
okay, sorry. He's smiling at me.
Appeals the decision of the chair.
No raises built into your
Individual offices.
No, there are no raises built into our estimate. That would be an estimate of wants rather than needs. And I think certainly our people are doing a fine, no, they do a good job and are deserving of that. If you were to ask me to do something there, 3 to 5%. I know we're going to be experiencing turnover more frequently here. And in order to attract and retain tradespeople, mechanical people, that's gonna be much more difficult, I think, in the future. But, I've not asked for any raises, but 3 to 5% would be nice. Our people deserve it.
You say you're about to experience some turnover. Is it more than normal? Like, is something happening?
Well, our workforce is aging, and I've got to have,
I didn't know if you knew something specific happening.
no.
You have 2 vacant positions here. You're not budgeted for those positions this year.
2 vacant positions in 2801, we are budgeted for those spots. And then I've got some possibilities also with the PDA positions.
Because you're asking for an increase of $102,945 in salaries. But,
What's that attributed to?
yeah, what's that difference?
I'm not sure that, maybe that's the answer. Let's see, currently we have 17. How will we finish the year, Sandy? Hello.
I don't know, I'll get back with you.
Okay, great, thank you.
So your 17, add up to the 784. Your current budget's $800,386.
So we're budgeted through this year for that level of employment.
There's 2 vacant positions, add up to $85,000 in salaries. Really?
You would like the daily translator?
I thought this was resolved yesterday. It was a great place.
I know you want to say.
Get on that candidate.
We're just trying to figure out,
Why I need so much extra?
Yeah.
you didn't put in raises,
Right.
and you're asking for just the one new, why your salary would be up $102,000.
It's just not adding up.
Tradespeople, if I've got to replace them.
The mechanical supervisor is taken out of another budget when he retires.
That's right. Steve Bennett was transferred, and his salary was on another budget, that's right. He was on Lincoln.
Was he paid, was he on the February payroll? When did, oh, he was.
With a date or everything.
He retired, I believe it was, yeah.
But did you include him on the February estimate of needs?
Also, no, I included a lower tech position on Lincoln, not the supervisor.
So the mechanical supervisor is a position that you had in your employee this fiscal year. They retired, but they were paid out of a different fund. You're wanting to replace that individual and pay them out of this fund instead of the fund that they were prior paid out of.
Exactly.
So that is part of
That increase.
the increase.
And there's a matching decrease on that, I would assume.
86,
Is there a reason why you're wanting to move that individual from the other payroll?
Well, it just so happened that individual on the Lincoln budget had institutional knowledge of this place. This is where he came from. And so simply bringing him down here to work in this space and in all of the others, rather than just keep him at Lincoln, worked out at the time. At this point, we can separate that. I can put another position out there at Lincoln, not a supervisory type position, but I can put the supervisory position here and be more accurate in the accounting.
Do you feel like your resources are correctly attributed to where the work is performed? The money is correctly attributed, and I know, I mean, in this case, we're talking about facilities, and this kind of gets into some of your other budgets, so I'm not trying to
No,
all
sure.
that, but, you know, I know the from my work at the districts, they have the highway cost, computer program that they track projects. And so when you send an electrician to the parking garage who's paid by facilities general fund, do you have a way to recoup those costs?
We don't do
Or
any,
the general fund?
we don't do any kind of inter-office or interdepartmental billing. It's just a body of real estate and buildings, parking garages that we have to maintain, and so we'll all just do what we have to do, what we need to do. So,
But do you feel like there's a greater burden?
one place or another?
Right, on the PBA side subsidizing the facility side, or on the facility
I
side
see what you're asking.
subsidizing the PBA side?
You know, I think that only becomes an issue when we do large projects that require more county resources, county help, like what we did for ACOG and certainly what we did for the Wildlife Department out at Krause. When there are those kinds of explosive, may not seem like to you folks, but those kinds of projects that demand a whole lot of time, expertise, and oversight, then at that point, sometimes the resources could be burdened one place or another. So certainly when we did the Wildlife Department, we were showing more facility resources in that location at that time.
Which is the PBA location?
Right. Now, for example, the work on the ninth floor up here, there will be way more oversight and activity from everybody in that location, particularly because of the time of day that's going to take place, and the likelihood that we'll have interruptions, problems, and infrastructure issues that could affect the way the courthouse operates.
But those are general, that's a general fund project, and you're saying we're going to use a lot of general fund resources for that?
Yeah, but we've got, for example, if I've got a man on the PBA payroll out at Lincoln, he's not going to remain out at Lincoln all the time. He may be employed in some other location. So if we have problems over here, he's certainly going to spend some time on the ninth floor.
So you do think you've got them allocated
I think at the most,
money-wise? If we were to do a cost analysis, it would be the same?
I think, again, generally speaking, yes. Only in the event we have projects that demand a concentration of resources, that would be the only time that might be skewed. The build out for ACOG is another example where we used our communications team, our electrical team, to some degree our carpeting people, and then project oversight. So that's another example there.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay. What you got next?
The next one is custodial. And that's, for the most part, a static kind of a budget, with a couple of exceptions here that we've had to kind of think about. In the M&O portion of this, we're including the ninth floor being cleaned. The ninth floor of the courthouse, if it's built out over there, and when it's built out, it will need janitorial services as well. Also, the new jury assembly room on the first floor. I'm not sure what kind of flooring we'll put in there yet, or what kind of needs we'll have there, but we need to consider that that's going to have some level of cleaning and detail.
Different than the level of cleaning and detail that we're doing on 5 currently?
I hope. It's a larger space too.
Well, but that space had been occupied as well by, District 2, and then also planning and engineering. So you think it's gonna be more expensive to?
I can't tell. You know, it's a larger space, and then again, depending on what kind of flooring we put down, if you decide to use carpeting.
Shag your floor or something.
What color?
Green.
Excellent. The Winnebago.
Orange isn't available anymore.
You know, depending on the type of flooring you put in, woodwork, seats, benches, you know, there may be more to that. I just don't know, and that's what I'm kind of guessing at in this figure.
Is that, on that janitorial, is that all custodial contractor, or some of that also the supplies?
Supplies,
for towels and toilet paper and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Which is the custodial contract?
Custodial contract per square foot approaches
Per year.
The 226.
I don't wanna go through the machine,
Oh,
figure
okay.
out how many square feet we have and
Oh,
multiply it
okay.
out and figure out what.
$226,000. And it's not very much in years past, you know, I think we've got a 5-year contract.
Excuse me, it's not totally 226, there's a little bit built in there for when they clean carpet, they charge it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, we pay extra for stains and those kind of things.
How many full-time employees would you have to have if we were to move that in-house?
You know, we've asked that question a number of times in years past. We've actually,
I'll ask it again next year.
I know, it's a good question to ask. I mean, you've always got to reevaluate, I think. At that time, I asked one woman who began on the janitorial crew here and was in charge of that, and she remembered having 30-some employees, 30 people to, spread around the building, and so.
I think when we eliminated those staff positions, we had about eight or nine, maybe 10 total.
That's what it had whittled down to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, another cost-saving measure that we've tried to employ out at ACOG, the agreement we have with them, they bring their trash to the central hallway. Their offices aren't cleaned inside. We save a little money that way. So we'll,
We run our own vacuum, so it'd be an option for us.
yeah.
Not trash in the hallway.
Well, at the end of the day, trash goes to the hallway. You take your burrito and styrofoam plate and put it in the trash can out in the hallway, and they'll pick it up and throw it away that night. And then you can use your own people to vacuum. I don't know if that could be a department by department.
What we're twiddling our thumbs on for.
Just a thought, it's working out there.
Sure, ACOG has more traffic than we do.
Maybe. That's it for janitorial. Any questions there? A capital improvement budget here.
You get your people first before we move on.
We just had been doing them all in
We're
blocks.
just gonna do them all.
I presume.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, we're on, he's on
Different
deciding
agenda
capital
item.
the next meeting.
I move we received the last two budget presentations by Mr. Monroe.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second to receive the fiscal year 17-18 estimate of needs for facilities management, general fund, and facilities management custodial. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I heard some eyes that I don't see at the table.
All right, item number 6, discussion of possible action to review fiscal year 17-18 estimate of needs for Oklahoma County Capital Improvement Fund.
Some items identified here. We've got a chiller down at social services, if you go to the capital outlay portion. I've identified upgrades for the elevators in the courthouse. I think the folks over there would appreciate that, particularly if we're going to the 9th floor. We did elevator upgrades in the annex, and it's time to do so in the courthouse. and that's $175 per unit.
$175?
$175,000. $1,000, sorry. That's a big number. Also, when we were working here on the second floor, we used a contractor to grind and polish the terrazzo floors, rather than have the janitorial contractor come in and try and use a wax. These floors were never meant to be waxed. They should be ground and polished and then just addressed every so often. I've included that on each floor in this building, except the second rather, it's been done.
Is that something that was in the capital projects this year too?
No. The last item is a control valve upgrade for the chilled water system, which would allow an automatic shutdown and notification of any circulation in the event of a large volume of water being moved in any location, such as the frozen coil that we had on 6. Working with Veolia and United Mechanical, valves could be installed in the supply lines in the basement here, and the notification system employed so that in the event there was some major rush of water or a breakage of any kind, those valves would automatically shut down the pressured supply and then give a notification to whoever's on duty here or whoever we needed to have notified. Now, that shuts down the pressured supply lines to the buildings, but does not address the water column of the supply lines through the buildings. Should a break occur on the second floor of this building, we'd have 4 floors above. That's the amount of water we would be expected to deal with, but not any kind of volume being supplied to us from Veolia. Does that make sense?
So if it was on the second floor of this building, would it be more water than we experienced in our break recently, or less water?
If we install these valves, it would be less water, under less pressure, because we only have 4 floors of water column.
Right.
What would be your top 2 projects out of these 4?
I'm pretty sensitive to the control valve thing for some obvious reasons. I would do the elevators, and I'd do the control valve system for this building.
Yeah, if the courts aren't here, and I don't speak for the courts, but I do have to run back and forth quite a bit, and there's days when there's 2 elevators down over there, and the sheriff's resources are down too. They no longer are able to pick people up for the jail elevator. I mean, it just, sometimes I'll see public defenders on the 5th floor, and they've been waiting 10, 12 minutes on the elevator.
Right.
And some of them could take the stairs, but not all of them.
Well, you're right. We're having more occasions where we'll have 2 elevators down, and that just creates lots of congestion on the first, third, and 5th floors.
And those people are already unhappy to be in that building.
Yes.
Well, as an individual that is fat and furry and stays hot all the time, I'm kind of sensitive to the social services chiller, especially since we currently do not have any air conditioning on our floor, or at least our end of our floor. What is the situation with that? Do they have AC?
They have air conditioning in portions of the building and can do the same kind of thing as what you're experiencing on 6.
So
they can move air
around hot air?
Well, not completely hot air, tepid air, warmer air, not hot air.
80 degrees is, well, I guess you could call that tepid.
That's a wind over at our office.
No, I think that's a sensitive issue and certainly an important one, and that's why I put it on the list.
I think you have a lot more other stuff that this is.
There's always a whole lot more.
not an attorney, and so I wasn't ever taught the lesson of don't ever ask a question that you don't know the answer to. Somebody's going to ask a question that I don't know the answer to, and I may not like the answer, but I still want to have the answer. Where does the money, the common area money, and this may be a question for you guys, when the court fund pays the common area money every month, where's that deposited when it comes in?
General fund.
You could argue that the elevators in the courthouse are a common area. Right.
I'm just identifying the need, not where the money should come from.
Right. You know off the top of your head, I should know, do you know, off the top of your head?
Monthly, what did we receive from the court funds?
It's 63,000.
Say again?
I think it's 63.
That includes services, electrical, utilities, heating, cooling, janitorial.
Right.
A portion of the facilities, staff that deliver water, make repairs, those kinds of things.
So the expenses come out of which budget though?
The
When
ex-
you're doing the common area stuff?
That comes out of facility budget 2801.
Anything else on capital improvement? All right, is there a motion to receive the fiscal year 17-18 estimate and needs for Oklahoma County capital improvement? So moved. Got a motion, is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, next up is 17-18 estimate of needs for Oklahoma County PDA funds.
What I've begun to do here is give you a little bit of a breakdown as to the revenues by source, the expenditures, projected income, and any capital outlay issues on this, and Kelly will distribute that if you need to receive it, I suppose.
Did you bring a copy?
Yes.
Thank you.
First, you'll see revenues by source. Lincoln includes ACOG at its present rent. Metro Park of 484,000 or so. Metro Parking, 2,912,000 divided by daily cash beneath, if you look, daily cash, 576,400, and then the monthly contract parking. The investors' capital revenue, the Kraus revenue is paid by the Wildlife Department, and then a total.
Is the Urban League in Kraus, and do we donate that space?
No.
No, the wildlife is only in there for a short period of time, though, correct? I mean, wasn't that their intent?
Yes, that was their intent, but they've been slow on their remodel with their building, and if you've driven by and looked at it, it's a hole, and I can anticipate at least another year would be my guess, and unless they really get high behind it. You'll see the expenses, expenditures by category, and the total projected expenses, and below projected operating income for each property. Below capital outlay detail, you'll see various categories for each property. One thing that we have included here that's very important that you'll see on the estimate of needs for metro parking specifically are the parking systems, operating systems for Metro 1 and for Metro 2. And we can talk more about that when we get to that budget, but that's an important one to discuss today.
On the, and you probably said this in the facilities and I wasn't paying attention, on the landscaping, is that somebody coming and maintaining it, or is that what we kind of spend on supplies for landscaping and the inmates are doing that?
That's it. I don't know the degree to which Oklahoma City is going to deal with these planters out here. I know there aren't any kind of, there's not any kind of ground cover in the median, but, you know, they came and mulched, I think, last week, those planters here. The courthouse grounds are looking pretty sad, so we need to kind of update, spruce those things up too.
Water sprinklers to those trees in the middle of the median.
They put water,
So that's addressing the door clerk's office.
no, you objected, and rightly so, to those wells immediately north of the Investors Capitol building. And we specifically asked Oklahoma City to make sure that we had valves in each well in the event there was a leak, so we could shut that off and not worry about at least that element flooding the basement of the ICB. But all of the other locations that you see, all those tree wells and planting areas are all irrigated.
On your sheet here, you've got salary and wages for every, how did you break that down?
Salary and
Like,
wages.
who's paid out of PBA?
Well, for instance, we had the one position where we were talking about our supervisor was on the PBA and Lincoln payroll. That's now vacant. Metro Parking has 3 employees. I have 1 employee paid, I believe, Investors Capital, and then Krause as well.
So when you assign one to Kraus and one to investors,
There's not an assignment,
okay.
not an assignment, because,
You're just trying to spread basically out of PBA, you do this many days, so you're trying to spread it by facility,
Yes.
garage.
Yes.
Okay.
and that was kind of a hard thing to overcome, because early on in the game, the mindset had been, well, I'm assigned to this particular building, and I'm not going to address or attend to any problems anyplace else, and that's not the case. So that dynamic has changed, and we're capable of moving from one location to another.
The former supervisor position you were talking about, that's the one that you increased on the general fund side of facilities, $47,000-ish. But you reduced, and he was on this payroll, is that right?
He was on the PBA payroll at Lincoln.
Right. You reduced your Lincoln salaries this year by $23,000,
I believe so.
which is about half of what you increased the facilities salaries by.
I've got to have a good mechanical supervisor. And the way we operate.
Right, I thought but I would have just thought that I thought, when I asked my question earlier, I thought the dollars were following out of Lincoln into general.
And then you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's the PBA balances as of March 6th.
So you're estimating a net income of almost 1.7 million from operations next year.
Yeah.
Well, capital's not out of there, though.
It would be less if he's doing some of the capital that's down the road.
Yes, but I'm looking at this from an operations standpoint, the capital being separate. Different things that certainly will affect our revenues with Metro Parking. Project 180, we've noticed there's been a decline with traffic, with the construction out here. We've suffered some decline, and I would expect to see the same happen when the streetcar is installed out here. It's my understanding that the streetcar will block the entrance once every 10 minutes on its route. And those tracks will operate in a northbound inside lane there at Hudson headed north. So even if the streetcar travels with traffic, so if there's traffic and the streetcar can't move, by the time the streetcar gets to where it needs to go, it's typically 2 units. We'll have entrances blocked there for more time than we'd like. That may certainly affect the
That's an actual stop for the...
The stop, as I understand it, is the next block up. But just passing the entrances through traffic will delay time into the garage for motorists to find their spots. We've already got packets there now. And so if you think about how it works, at the bus station, when people are late, they're already learning to make different decisions, different choices other than parking in Metro 1. That's a possible issue, I think, this upcoming year.
I was afraid it was going to be a stop, like an actual streetcar stop where they'll load people on and off. They're just coming through traffic, so it's like, what, the equivalent of 3 more cars?
Well,
2 units.
The way I think about it is if the train stops and blocks 2 entrances for however long it takes, once every 10 minutes, an hour that we see people moving into the garage between 7:30 and 8:30, that's gonna, that's 15 minutes worth of time, or 20 minutes worth of time, I'm guessing.
Having high school math flashbacks if a train leaves Kansas.
Yeah, how long does it take to travel going however?
Well, I've seen this thing operate in Tucson, and they're not expedient. The people operating the streetcars are conditioned to work with motorists in traffic, and so they're not particularly in a hurry, at least there. I hope that's not the case here, but we'll see what effect that has on our folks coming into the garage. It translates into money.
I think being conditioned to operate with motorists is probably a good thing.
Especially downtown.
Yeah, if we could get them conditioned and operate with pedestrians.
Can the excess PDA funds be used to fund the capital projects, $935,000 listed?
If the trustees want that to happen.
Is there any other questions for Keith? That sheet appears to be a synopsis of your estimate of needs that you submitted for the Kraus Centers, Investors Capital, Lincoln, and Metro Parking. Is there any specific things in those estimated needs that anybody wants to discuss?
I move to accept if there aren't any questions.
Second, Lincoln.
So, are we gonna move to accept these estimated needs as well as the revenue and expenditure summary for all 4 funds?
That would be my second.
That is my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Richard, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. All right, next item is the TDA debt service. Estimated needs for 17-18 for the TDA debt service.
That is what it is.
Move we accept the estimated needs.
Motion to accept in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Item number 9. Discussion and possible action, review fiscal year 17-18 estimated needs for Oklahoma County employee benefits, workers' compensation, and self-insurance. Thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
All right, we'll start with employee benefits.
Oh, yeah? It's the first reading, man. Thank you.
We just got the projections put on the agenda this morning. I was waiting until we had all the March's numbers to just give us a better estimate. So the last sheet on that estimates for employee benefits is a detailed worksheet.
The last sheet on that estimate of needs for employee benefits, that was not,
It was posted today, right?
Posted today, yeah.
I sent an email out every day.
And emailed them, right.
Like
Got
11:40.
nothing in front of me.
Yeah.
sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
We can make copies.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
So these are my copies. Anybody?
I could use a copy. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, can I have one, too, please? Oh, we're just talking about that.
I printed the book, I didn't know.
Oh, you mean, okay.
Yeah, probably employee benefits,
Yeah.
workers' comp, and self-insurance.
I didn't have a link to the agenda, but maybe
Right.
I just did it.
That may be later in the
I
day.
just did it this morning.
Are you talking about the estimate of needs or the?
Both, either, I don't know what everybody's looking at.
I don't have any.
I'd say those three estimates of needs. How many people?
Who all needs this?
Steve, you?
I'm good.
Raise your hand.
What is, yeah, go ahead. What is, did you provide this as well?
It's linked, yep.
Yeah.
Should be in the back.
Just emailed out.
I may not need it. Okay, yeah, I don't need it.
Okay, so two.
Three. We can wait.
During the recess.
March Madness.
It's pretty maddening.
I'm good, Gonzaga wins.
We're normally there pretty quick.
They pulled it out last week.
There's only one, on the standings, there's only one person ahead of me that also wins Gonzaga, so.
Hey, really? You have them going all the way? Yeah.
Let's produce this time.
I mean,
But if they go all the way, it jumps me over all of you people that pick the other chalk.
I'm telling you, it's really good right now. Fortunately, it's pretty silly.
I think it'd be a little bit colder.
I'm just thanking all the coldness before I go back
Take it
upstairs.
guys with you.
You should bring a receptacle with you and take some to go.
I did, I'll be like, I need my Yeti for that.
Come through.
No.
We have fans going in the hallway, like jet engines right now.
I guess we have tepid air is what we call it.
I mean, today's not.
So it's the whole sixth floor, not just your end?
I think it's just our end. I think your offices have.
We have air conditioning, but the hallways do not, and then your end of the building.
What about the air? You guys have air up there?
I think the DA probably does.
Well, in spots.
I got you.
Just like normal, right?
Just like normal, the original air handling system wasn't
I've got my heater on today.
Yeah.
My office
I
is
heard
over
this when
85 degrees.
when they replaced these systems, whatever it was, 15, 20 years ago.
Due to a heating problem.
During the summer months when they were out on the fourth floor,
No.
Trish actually,
That dude,
boys come to
the
work
way
short.
that building is heated up, cool,
Propose
because
that to your
4 offices away, it was about 60.
Well,
Yeah,
normally,
that's not gonna happen.
Normally,
I
if
keep
you've been in
these
my
hot
office,
across the
you'll
hall.
hear that AC stays on all the time, and it sounds like a jet engine in my office. Dan's been in there to hear it, doesn't it? You can hear it when I'm on the phone.
But yet you get none of that air. You just-
Not now, it's turned off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but for about the first 11 months we were in that space, the time that I'm there, so, like 2 a.m., I don't know what's going on, but the time that I was there was 3 times that it turned off, and it was like a total of 18 seconds for those 3 times. Other than that, it was on 100% of the time, and loud.
Well, you and Earl have to have a decibel contest.
I've been in Aaron's, and it's not a contest.
Oh, you're.
It's not.
Who's the louder?
Cody's is a lot louder than Aaron's.
Aaron's seems tranquil.
Some people like to sleep with one. It's like a woodland meadow with a soft zephyr wafting through it.
Is that a vanilla candle that smell?
Don't start that.
Now I'm longing for the sound.
James Kelly.
It might be
No, I think it was 1, 2.
Good,
Either one of us.
Well, Johnny or not, I think
It
it
wasn't
was online.
It wasn't
Looking online.
Yeah.
I should
Yeah, I am too.
It wasn't me, but I'll take it. I like hard copies. You killed a tree for it anyway. You didn't, but someone did.
I know, we hear it all the time.
Janie, where were you? Oh, I guess we got
They don't stop.
Can we start? Or wait?
Probably would. This is a pretty big, important piece. Move to accept. All right. Motion back for lack of a second. I hate this back.
Must have talked about our budget then, right?
No, we're talking about how
The
important.
modified, the Mike Sullivan modified.
Representative, good luck. It's not on here.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
No.
I think the sheriff's budget, I looked at that today.
All right, to project. Sure you did. To project next year, we have to start with projecting the rest of this year, which is the middle column. For pretty much everything, we just took the first 9 months, did a 9-month average, and projected out the rest of the year for.
So will it have that extra stuff in it from the beginning?
It does here, not for next year.
Okay.
So, you'll see I backed it out for
Okay.
next year, but, so just work all the way down, what we're estimating what's in, obviously, 3 more months of claims, so we're hoping it'll go down. If it doesn't, if it stays with the average, we'll end up spending $27.3 million. Last year, we spent $23.1 million out of the plan, so here's our premiums. We've received almost $1.2 million in stop loss. I didn't factor in any additional. I know there's potentially more in the pipeline, so that'll bring this figure down, obviously. But just based off of that number, we will need a total of $10.2 million in transfers just to make it through the year, based on this. Today, we've transferred $8.4 million, so we're looking at another $1.8 million in transfers, potentially. So, so using those figures, projecting out next year, this is the big if. We knew, John's here to touch on this, but we have a new network plan going into effect July.
Yeah, several new changes, they go to effect 7/1, that will probably be, hopefully implemented 7/1. The most impactful will be the new prescription agreement, if we get that done. That'll be effective, we'll start seeing the savings right away on that. And what that'll bring too is, those rebates category, as Danny counts those as kind of income, they're actually related to our pharmacy spend, but right now we receive about $300,000 in rebates. With the new pharmacy deal, we'll receive about $1.3 million back. So that's about $1 million back in the till directly related to our prescription costs. And then on pricing, actual pricing is different on our actual prescription claims, so we should see about 20% saving on actual prescription drug costs.
Where's that? I'm sorry, I'm not following where that was.
Well, none of that stayed in there. None of that stayed in there. So potentially, we've had a very high year, and if you look back, I think it was 2011, we had extremely high year like this, and our claims went down. That's kind of how self-funding goes. You have a big year, and it goes down the next year. But Danny, you can't predict how those savings will come across, or if we're gonna have another big year. So it's kind of budget for the worst, and hopefully expect a better scenario. But we have a couple things in the pipeline to hopefully reduce costs.
If I remember that budget board presentation that day by the two people, because they came on the same day, it was $3 or $4 million they were, between them, that they were pledging to save us. And so really what you're saying is, well, but are you not including their savings?
No, not Danny didn't
So,
do that.
so based upon their predictions and your prediction of $500,000 lower next year, we should actually see $4.5 million lower if they said they could save us $4 million.
Well, let's touch on natural trend.
I was thinking that maybe you were only going down 500,000 because
I didn't do any of those numbers. None of those numbers.
Now, the 500,000.
That was the one-time April through
Yeah, we
June
just,
catch-up.
so really, we're keeping medical and prescription claims flat, just as a very conservative estimate at this point. We don't know. I mean, those are guarantees, but we still don't know. I mean, it's just,
You said in half of it.
Yeah,
I mean, they made a presentation and they spoke some big numbers. I mean, to not account for some, and granted, it's only half a year. Well, no, it's July, it's full fiscal year.
Yeah, because medical claims on the, the provider network on the medical side, that takes a while to kick in because claims are incurred maybe, say claims are incurred in June, but they don't hit until September. So the prescription claims we'll see right away. We'll see a difference. But my suggestion would be to kind of budget on what we had budgeted last year, but some in reserves, because once, from my understanding, once money goes into employee benefits, it can't come back out.
Right, but I would say if we're gonna do that, that we ought to put something in a lockbox and make sure that it's not touched until we get a really good handle, because I don't want to budget based on salespeople coming and telling us what they're gonna do for us.
Yeah, I would say budget on predicted and hope for better.
Bush.
how's it looking in a lockbox?
No, Bush.
Strategic.
Traditionally, when we've had a huge year like this, costs have gone down next year. So that's not always the way it goes.
Yeah, so based on these estimates and what we predict we're gonna bring in, it's 10.2 million in transfers, pretty much where we're at this year. I wouldn't recommend that we budget that right off the bat, maybe stick with our current budget of 8.4 million, or somewhere around there, with parking other funds in reserve just in case.
What's the 8.4 million cover?
I can tell you that.
What do you mean?
Part of that.
Well, I know there's a chunk of it is retirees. I mean, we gotta transfer money in to take care of the retirees.
About $4 million is for retirees, and health premiums are only calculated to cover certain items, not everything in the whole employee benefits fund, not even everything in medical and prescription costs. They're only calculated on certain things.
Right.
Life insurance is employer expense, vision's totally an employer expense.
Dental.
Stop losses, dental's a calculated item in the premium.
Included in there?
Yeah, so we have retiree employer costs that we fund, we have.
The admin fees for a long time weren't included in there. Were those moved over?
They've always been included. Stop loss hasn't
it's
been.
a stop loss, yeah.
Hasn't been included. It's excluded. Vision, coverage, EAP, anything, I can't see the list. There's a laundry list of stuff, so, that's why the premiums aren't meant to cover the whole pie. There's always employer paid expenses that are meant to be paid by the employer, and a big part of that transfer is for retiree costs.
Right.
Yeah,
I knew
the
that.
majority of it is. And this year we've had a huge year because of those big claimants. Like I think now Danny's number is 1.19 million. We're up to about 1.5 almost in stop loss. And we paid we'll end up paying about $700-something thousand for stop loss coverage and probably get well over, double. So
another reason our transfers are going up so high is because the premium increase is not keeping up with what the actuaries are recommending. So we're not getting more money out of the special revenue funds because we're not increasing the employer rates, which is hurting the general fund. Not getting more money out of the employees. So you see over time, this green line, that's our transfers out from general fund to employee benefits. 10.2, we're looking at, 10 point something again, possibly next year. So you can see the expenses are going up, revenues, so we've got to make up that gap with general fund dollars, so.
And that's my car dealer math is backwards, which could happen. I mean, that's happened before, but it seems like to me that by putting that burden on the general fund, we're subsidizing special revenue funds, and we're actually harming general fund departments, especially general fund departments without special revenue to make up. We're harming their ability to grow and to keep up with employee salaries and things like that. And so, and then when we don't increase premiums, it's the same thing. The burden is coming out of the general fund, and so it's not employees when they can get raises, and our employees have had some raises, but it just kind of exacerbates the problem of being able to take care of our folks.
Well, I just want to add too, if you look at 14, 15, so now, on what's being brought in, some of that's employee driven, and our department, with the drastic reduction we've seen in staffing levels, if you factor in 70 employees lost in 14, 15, you've had that both years at family coverage, that's almost $1 million a year. So that also plays part of that too, and it's not, I'm just using us, I know that as an example. If you look at everybody, that has an impact on the premium side.
That's a $4 million jump just last year.
And the thing is, I did a 5-year trend, and I kind of presented to the budget board what the national average, what health plans across the nation average. They totaled it all up and came up with the average. And that's over a 5-year period, not including this year, the current year we're in, but we're under the national average in parts for trending. But it's every employer in the nation, this is their second biggest expense besides salaries, except if you're in manufacturing. You have lots of
And nobody's attacking that. I think we've got the best plan, and I think dollar for dollar, we do the best job of anybody I've ever seen. I mean, John, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is where we're getting the dollars to get that plan is actually harmful to some of the departments. I mean, that's $4 million this year that was not available for additional employees and additional funding for departments and departmental needs. That's a lot of money. And how difficult would it be to allocate, when we have those transfers in, to allocate that based on the number of employees that are special revenue employees, to allocate it to those funds in the share as it is to the general fund?
It can be done, but the easiest way to do it is just to charge based on the actuarial rates.
Sure, absolutely. But we're talking about maybe having to do another $2 million this year. We can't go back and charge the actuarial rate this year, but we can assess that across the board.
And Mike, too, since the employer rates haven't really increased for a couple of years, employees have been pretty stagnant for 4 years.
What's that split now? The last I heard, it was like the employer was paying 86% of the cost of the premium. And the premium was actually falsely suppressed as well.
Yeah.
That'd be one thing that'd be interesting to look at. And that, again, that split, it falls disproportionately to the departments that.
If you look at the employee benefits fund as a whole, you're only going to pull out a couple for several items for premiums to cover. Everything else is going to have to be transferred. So it's not really, county paying all this that aren't covered premiums. But if we look at the actual true employer, it's probably about an 80-20 split now, based on premiums and what they're meant to cover. And then everything else is, there's a big $6 million hole.
I'd be interested to see exactly, because I've heard a number far higher than that in the last 6 months.
I think it's worth looking at again. I don't know if this body can recommend to the budget board or not, to at least the employer share, to increase the employer share July 1. Whereas we're hitting the special revenue funds, where we pay people out of special revenue funds, a little more money coming into the employee benefits, not in the back to the general fund.
Well, then would we talk about increasing departments funding to cover that, or we're gonna have to eat that cost?
Should eat the cost, I mean, it's part of the cost of paying that employee out of that fund.
I can tell you right now, we'll be against that.
It would hit us just as well.
Yeah, to a small fraction of what it would hit us.
Talking about the special revenue employees.
Right, which still though, we have a significant amount on special revenue, the direction the budget board pushed last year. Yeah, dwindling revenue structure, I mean, you're looking at over $700,000 less just with the city contract.
By not helping to solve the problem, you're continuing to drain the general revenue fund, which continues to make the resources not available for the needs that you have. I mean, you're putting yourself in a spiral if you don't help us solve the problem.
With dwindling revenue funds.
Especially when healthcare costs go up and we take them out of the general revenue.
We don't have a true cost accounting of individuals that are paid out of special revenue fund, because we're subsidizing it with general fund transfers.
Right.
Yeah, if we were looking to go the direction that Mike was wanting to go, if we did an increase in funding on the front end to offset that allocation, then it defeats the purpose of trying to save general fund dollars to do other things with it. And it would just be a matter of, instead of sending those general fund dollars, the $6 million, instead of sending them to employee benefits, then we'd send it to the departments to send it to employee benefits.
We wouldn't send it to the departments for the special revenue fund employees.
No, I know, and that's what I'm saying, that if we, John had mentioned, are we gonna increase the budget to offset those dollars? That's my point, is that it defeats the purpose of what your proposition is.
But we're hoping that we'll see the savings, that they have the guaranteed savings.
Yeah, well, guaranteed on a rate, on the network side.
Guaranteed on the box.
But the prescription side, it's black and white. It's just like if you go to Walmart and something's $20 there, you get the same item for $10 at Target. I mean, that's how simple the prescription plan is. So when those plans start rolling in, we'll see lower cost. If utilization goes way up, or people start getting higher cost drugs, they might switch, but that's almost an instant savings on the prescription side.
So come September, we'll have a better gauge, we'll have a couple months under our belts. We'll know how this played out, so we can obviously update those figures come September. So I don't think it'd be wise to park that full $10.2 million in there out of the adopted budget. At least budget at our current year level, the $7.4 million, and then just knowing that we need money in reserve just in case.
Yeah, all indicators point to we'll have a lot better year next year, but we don't know how much better.
But if we do have a better year, if the money's parked in reserve, then we can utilize it for other needs of the county throughout the year instead of having to wait to roll over.
All right, so the next is workers' comp. Everybody have copies of workers' comp?
We do now.
All right, so the last page is a similar type breakdown. Again, let's project out the rest of this year. Really, the only funding that comes into workers' comp, we're self-insured for workers' comp claims, is general fund dollars. This year, we're projecting, we budgeted $750,000. I lowered it to $250,000 just because of the prior discussion where we could possibly move $500,000 from here over to employee benefits this fiscal year. So, assuming that's done, that still gets through the year. Workers' comp will end the year with a $185,000 cash balance if claims play out the way they have the first 9 months. We've had a really good claims year so far. So you just plug in those numbers, take estimates for next year. It would take $1 million general fund transfers, just to cover the $906,000 in expenses and leaving about $300,000 cash balance, just in case the claims come out higher than we anticipate next year. So, $750 we budgeted this year. Transfers, looking at possibly $1 million next year, just because we're taking $500,000 out of it this year, possibly. And Dan's here, he can answer any questions on the workers' comp plan, but we have seen a really good year in claims.
We have, since the comp law changed a couple of years ago, we've seen claims dollars go down. However, some of those pieces of no return to the Supreme Court. The legislature's trying to make some adjustments to the new law, but there's some pieces that are still out there that have been challenged in the court that could raise the cost back up to some degree. We're holding and waiting.
All right, so the last fund is self-insurance funds, historic tort claims. Pretty simple fund here. This is solely funded with general fund transfers. We budgeted $107,000 this year. We should end the year with about $125,000 in there. We try to maintain a level of about $100,000 in this fund. The good news is we would only have to transfer $20,000 out of general fund next year to kind of maintain that $100,000 balance.
There are no more questions for Danny, I would accept the presentation.
Second.
We've got a motion and dueling seconds to accept the fiscal year
I defer to the man with the gun.
18 estimate of needs for the Oklahoma County Employee Benefits, Workers' Compensation and Self-Insurance Fund. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. Item number 10, discussion and possible action regarding follow-up questions related to any fiscal year 17-18 estimate of needs that have already been presented. Yesterday, Christie, you had asked on the District 1 general fund budget to get the middle column breakdown, and I've gotten that for everybody. So,
And then I have 3 more.
okay. Mr. Garvey, you might take one and pass it on.
I can't touch me where this goes. Move that down. Actually, from the north side. Sure. Good. All
right, Kelly, you've got a couple other ones?
Oh, you can, I can do that later.
Okay.
I found it.
A couple more years to be able to give you a hard time. Did anybody have any questions?
You'll always be my elder.
No, sir. If not, then we'll move to Kelly. Kelly had a couple changes. Okay,
We're on
this
it, ready to do?
No, I was just over some extras.
Oh, okay. The first one is a new request for District 2 General Fund, where they added $100,000 for the project. Sorry, I didn't bring copies for everybody, but I will, maybe, did I send those out?
I don't recall.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I will.
I have a hard time
Did
keeping up with
Mr.
stuff
Satterwhite-
I get in the meeting.
Did Mr. Satterwhite not bring copies?
Well, we get,
Dang it.
Did I bring it all done?
Move to reject.
we get a copy, could I?
And also, we reconcile the
I mean,
insurance
you will have
claim
a
too.
book
brand
that you
new
might be able to
clean copy.
email, and
Yeah.
I can print it out and have everything in the right place.
Oh, no, the tree. No, you're looking at it on there.
But we'll have it all together.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll redo the whole thing. And it'll have,
Can you make little links where I can click in the table of contents and it'll jump down to that page?
oh, wow. I'll think about it.
Anyway, Mr. Chairman, also, you know, with the addition of the 100,000, there were some questions on the, double dipping on the insurance,
Oh, yeah.
and that was resolved too.
Yeah, that's the next one.
Okay.
All right, this one here that I'm looking at just has $100,000 added in M and O, the general fund M and O for special projects. I increased the grand total budget to ask of, to $623,152.52. Anybody have any questions? You wanna see it, I can pass it around.
Make a motion to accept that one.
They're probably all gonna be together. Might wanna wait on that. So this is the highway cash one where he took 2 single and 1 family from health insurance because of what he just talked about.
Anybody need to see this one? Okay, is that all that you have?
Social services.
Okay.
So the third one is where Christy Jernigan added 3% salary increase and reduced that ECP $15,000.
I think that's what she discussed.
Yeah.
We accept 2 from 2, 1 from 1 at social services.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor to accept the changes to social services estimate of needs, District 2's highway cash estimate of needs, District 2's general fund estimate of needs, and District 1's general fund estimate of needs.
I second 1, 2, and 4, but not 3.
Okay.
No, I'll second all of it.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
And Kelly, we can send out copies for you.
Yes. Okay, item number 3, we'll jump back up there. Is there any discussion about processes and procedures for the upcoming budget? Anybody want to talk about? Okay, if not, is there any discussion and possible action on item number 4 to receive any other department's fiscal year 17-18 estimate of needs? I believe we've received everybody that's presented so far. So. Okay, moving on. Item number 11, citizens participation. Nobody want to participate? Board comments? Anybody?
Nothing?
Okay.
I got a comment. I don't understand why Amy would come back and say this was hard work. I mean, this is an easy process. This is
Oh,
great.
just wait. This, you know better.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next.